Greetings, everyone. This educational video is to explain how to install the ink cartridge into a fountain pen. The pen that we are showing in this video is the Pitchman Tycoon, but please know the process for installing the ink cartridge is exactly the same for not only the Tycoon, but for the Rainmaker as well as the closer. In short, all Pitchman pens, the process for installing the ink cartridge, all the same. Actually, it's pretty easy, but if you're a first-time user of a fountain pen, it could be a little confusing. I know it was for me, but thank gosh that was many years ago. All right, here's how you start. First, you obviously want to unscrew the cap, put that aside, okay? So now what you have here is you have three components. You have the nib, you have the nib housing, and of course the remaining portion of the pen. What you want to do first is unscrew right here the nib, what we would call the nib housing, okay? You don't want to unscrew the nib, but just the nib housing, okay? So do that. You're going to put the rest of the pen aside, okay? So now you have the nib and the nib housing. If you look to the back side, hopefully you can see it in the video as I spin it around. If you look to the back side of the nib, what we call the feeder, you will see a point, a puncture. In fact, let me grab a nib. So let me show you, this is a nib that's outside the housing. And what you'll see here is what we would call the feeder tube. And it is slightly sliced, if you will, which allows for penetrating the back end of the nib cartridge. Okay, so here's what you do. In your pen box, just below the pen, you would have received a bunch of goodies. And within those goodies for a fountain pen, you would receive an ink cartridge. And most of the ink cartridges are pretty much the same. When I send a Pitchman, this is the one that should be in there. If you get one that's slightly different, don't panic. They're pretty much all the same. The back end is, as you would imagine, it's pretty flat. But the front end is the important part of it. And you'll notice there's a little hole there, okay? And that hole perfectly aligns with the size of the back end of the nib, the feeder, okay? Before I show you how to install that, there is one other item that was in there. You may be wondering what this is. And this is what we would call a converter. Now, we're not going to cover this in this particular video, but let me just say really quickly, the converter is for those who are a little bit more advanced, and you will be once you get to playing around with your pen. This allows you to purchase separate ink and insert the nib into the ink and draw up and fill this portion of the feeder, okay? But again, for this video, we're going to talk about the nib and the cartridge that comes with the pen. Now, pretty straightforward. You probably figured it out already. That little tiny piercing at the back end. Take this cartridge. You want to center it right on it. And you want to give it a nice firm push. Okay? Not too hard, but just firm. I like to compare it, I'm sure we've all played with Legos, that sensation that you get when you get those two Lego pieces and they're finally together, kind of feels like that. Now, once you get that installed, you notice it's pretty sturdy, it doesn't flop around, okay? You want to grab the back side of your pen, okay? You want to install that, okay? Now, I know some of you want to get started writing immediately. If you're not aware, unlike a roller ball or a ballpoint pen or a gel pen or a felt tip pen, well, actually felt tips, a fountain pen requires gravity. A roller ball pen, a ballpoint pen, the ink inside is kind of sort of under pressure. So when you press down on the ball, it releases that ink. With a fountain pen, if you don't have gravity, it doesn't work. They don't work well in space, okay? So here's what you want to do. You just want to take the pen, put it back together, and you just want to store it in the upright position, the nib down, just for a little 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops. And this is only for the first time. Now, the Tycoon doesn't lay flat like this, so you may want to grab something. I happen to have some tape here, whatever, put it in a glass, whatever. You just want it to store it this way for a little bit. The Rainmaker and the closer will stand all by themselves. Now, again, 20 minutes. Why? It's the first time. You want to allow that ink to get flowing and get down to the converter. Now, once that happens, you give that time, right? Then, well, guess what? It worked pretty fast on this particular one. Sometimes it might be longer. Who knows, all right? But there's the good news, right? It pretty much good to go. So all I did, press the ink cartridge on the back side firmly, and you're off and running. Now, what happens if after 20 minutes you're not off and running? Couple things. First, I'd unscrew again the housing. I would remove the cartridge, okay? I'd take a look, just make sure I punctured it, okay? I would put it back on, press firmly, maybe even give it a little squeeze, right? Just to help it along, okay? That really should solve the problem, okay? Again, a little bit of time, gravity needs to work. If you have used the pen for a little bit, okay, and then you don't use it for, say, a week, what could potentially happen is the ink could dry up, okay, because there's a portion of the ink that is on the nib, okay, and that could dry up. So what do? Well, pretty easy. Go get yourself a glass of warm water, not scalding hot, just warm water. Take the nib, you could put the housing in with it too, okay, and gently put it into the warm water. I'd let it sit there maybe 15, 20 minutes tops, okay? What that's going to allow the water to do is going to seep in there. It's going to loosen up that ink that's dried up, and you should be good to go again, okay? I hate to say this, fountain pens can be a little bit of work, you know. Some people don't like them because they are work. Some people absolutely love them because of that. The good news about fountain pens is they look beautiful. You can do all sorts of things if you know calligraphy and so forth. All right, so that's pretty much it. Now, again, one last tip, okay? Because fountain pens require gravity, you can imagine if you left it like this, at some point in time, that ink is just going to keep running, okay? So if you're not using your pen, we highly recommend, right, that you turn the pen this way, nib up. That way the ink flows back and stays into the cartridge. The good news is the clip's this way, right? Stays in your pocket. You shouldn't have an issue. Yeah, you could probably store it like this on the side. I tend to use mine and I put something underneath them if I have a pen drawer or something like that because I want that ink to stay in the cartridge. Pretty simple. So hopefully that helps. If you still have any questions, concerns, challenges, please reach out to me. Best way is go to our website, click on the contact form, fill it out, goes directly to me. And I think most of you who know me, you know, this is not a 9-to-5 business for me. I'm pretty much here all the time as best I can. So if you have any questions, reach out. If I can't answer them via email, I'll probably give you a ring back or someone else from Pitchman will call you as well. So hope this helps and look forward to, I look forward to you having some good writing. We'll see you.